Picture this: a perfect life, love, trust, a home, shattered by a single lie. Meet Emily, a woman who thought she knew her husband, until the truth ripped her world apart. But this isn't just heartbreak. It's a roller coaster of secrets, revenge, and jaw-dropping twists you'll never see coming. Welcome to How I Trapped My Cheating Spouse, the revenge they never saw coming, only on Whisper's Story. Buckle up, you won't believe where this ride takes you. It was one of those quiet Tuesday evenings when the world feels like it's holding its breath. The kids were asleep, the dishwasher hummed faintly, and I stood alone in the kitchen, the heart of our suburban Atlanta home. 10 years ago, this room was filled with laughter, love, and the clinking of wine glasses as Mark and I toasted to our future. Tonight, it felt hollow. I glanced at the clock. 10:17 p.m. Mark still wasn't home. Late meeting, he texted earlier, but the words sat heavy in my gut, like a stone I couldn't shake loose. I poured a glass of Pinot Grigio, the bottle trembling slightly in my hand. For weeks, I'd noticed the little things piling up like unopened mail: Mark clutching his phone like a lifeline, the way he'd angle it away from me when he typed, the sudden work emergencies that kept him out past dinner. At first, I told myself it was nothing. He's a lawyer. Stress is part of the gig, right? But lately, the excuses didn't add up. Take last Thursday. I'd found a crumpled receipt in his jacket pocket while sorting laundry. $87 at La Bella Vita, some swanky Italian place I'd never heard of, dated for a night he swore he was buried in depositions. When I asked, he flashed that easy grin of his and said, "Client dinner, babe. You know how it goes." But his eyes darted away, and that's when the doubt started clawing at me. I took a sip of wine, staring at our wedding photo on the wall. There we were, grinning like fools. Me in my lace gown, him in that sharp tux, promising forever. 2 kids and a mortgage later, was that still us? I shook my head, trying to quiet the voice whispering, what if it's all a lie? Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe there was a simple explanation. Then there was the perfume. Doing laundry the other day, I'd caught it, a faint floral whiff on his shirt collar, nothing like my citrusy Joe Malone. Must have brushed up against someone at the office, he'd said when I mentioned it, casual as you please. Plausible, sure, but my intuition was screaming louder than a fire alarm. I slumped into a chair at the kitchen table, my mind a tangle of what-ifs. Confront him? Snoop through his stuff? The thought made my stomach churn. I didn't want to be that wife, the nag who can't trust her man. But the not knowing was a slow poison, seeping into every quiet moment. The front door creaked open, snapping me out of my spiral. Mark strolled in, tie loosened, that tired but charming smile on his face. "Hey babe," he said, pecking my cheek. "Sorry I'm late. Meeting dragged on forever." I forced a smile, the kind that doesn't reach your eyes. "No worries. How was your day?" "Busy as hell," he said, grabbing a beer from the fridge. "You?" "Oh, mom stuff. Kids are out cold." He nodded, sipping his Bud Light. "I'm wiped. Gonna crash." "Sleep well," I said, watching him head upstairs. His footsteps faded, and a pang hit me. When did we start talking like polite strangers? I finished my wine, the glass clinking against the table. Sleep sounded good, but as I lay in bed later, staring at the ceiling, my mind wouldn't quit. I had to know the truth, no matter what it cost me. Tomorrow, I'd start digging. Have you ever had a gut feeling something was off in your relationship? How did you handle it? Drop your stories in the comments. I'd love to hear how you faced the unknown. Wednesday morning hit like a freight train. Lunchboxes packed, kids off to school, Mark out the door with a quick love you. The house fell silent, and I grabbed my coffee, settling into my home office. I'd made up my mind. I was done wondering. I needed answers. Hiring a private investigator crossed my mind, those gritty TV types with fedoras and trench coats, but that felt like overkill, not to mention the dent it'd put in our savings. Snooping through Mark's phone or email. Too invasive, and if he caught me, it'd be World War III. Then it hit me, our family phone plan. I could check his call logs online without touching his stuff. I logged into the AT&T account, my pulse thudding in my ears. Most of his calls were predictable. Clients, his paralegal, me nagging about soccer practice. But one number popped up over and over, especially late at night. 4045550192. My stomach twisted. Who the hell was that? I copied the number, pasted it into a reverse lookup site, and held my breath. The result blinked onto the screen. Jessica Thompson. No bells rang. A client? A friend? I had to know more. Facebook was my next stop. I typed Jessica Thompson into the search bar, dozens of profiles, but one stood out. She was local, worked at a marketing firm downtown, and her profile pic showed a blonde stunner, mid-30s, all glossy hair and bright smiles. Private profile, damn it. I checked Mark's friends list. Nothing. Didn't mean squat, they could be sneaky about it. I leaned back, sipping my coffee, now cold. Our shared Google Calendar might hold clues. I pulled it up, scrolling through Mark's late meetings. One entry from last week stopped me dead. Dinner with Jay. No details, just that. J for Jessica? My heart sank like a stone in a well. Calling the number was an option. Play it off as a wrong number, gauge her voice, but that could tip them off. A burner text. Too complicated. Then I remembered. Mark always left his phone on the nightstand when he showered. Risky, but it might be my shot. That night, I waited. The shower hissed on, and there it was. His iPhone unguarded. My hands shook as I grabbed it. No passcode, he'd always trusted me, or so I thought. I opened his messages, scrolling past mundane chats until I hit J. The screen lit up with betrayal. Can't wait to see you tonight, Jessica had written. Miss you too, babe, Mark replied. More texts, flirty and intimate, detailing rendezvous at hotels and quiet bars. My knees buckled. It was real. He was cheating. Tears stung my eyes, but I couldn't fall apart, not yet. I snapped screenshots, emailed them to myself, and wiped the evidence from his sent folder. The shower cut off just as I slid the phone back. Mark stepped out, towel slung low, grinning. You okay, Em? Yeah, just a headache, I lied, my voice steady as steel. Gonna lie down. He nodded, clueless. I'll be downstairs watching the game. As he left, I sat on the bed, the world spinning. I had proof. Now what? What's the sneakiest way you've ever caught someone in a lie? Spill your detective tricks in the comments. Let's swap some clever moves. By Thursday, the shock had burned into rage. How dare Mark throw away our life, our kids, our home, for some fling? I wasn't about to sob into a pillow or beg him back. No, I wanted revenge, the kind that'd leave him and Jessica reeling. But it had to be smart, not sloppy. I met my best friend Sarah at Brew and Bean, our go-to spot. Over lattes, I spilled it all, the texts, the lies, the perfume. Her jaw dropped, then tightened. That son of a bitch, she said. You've got to nail him, Em. But make it undeniable. I want more than a fight, I said, stirring my coffee. I want them trapped, exposed, humiliated. Sarah's eyes gleamed. Set him up. Make him think he's meeting her, but it's you instead. Good, but I want Jessica there too. They both need to squirm. Then it clicked. Our anniversary's in 2 weeks. What if I throw a surprise party, friends, family, the works, and blow it all open there? Sarah whistled. That's next level. How do you pull it off without looking like the crazy ex? A toast, I said, leaning in. I'll thank everyone, then drop the bomb. Special shout out to Jessica for keeping Mark company. Flash the evidence on a screen. Diabolical, she grinned. But you need airtight proof. I've got texts. I'll get more photos maybe. Sarah grabbed a notebook. Let's map it out. Party's in 2 weeks. Tell Mark it's a small dinner, but invite the cavalry. I'll get Jessica there too, I said. Play dumb, say I'm networking with his colleagues. Risky if she blabs to him. I'll be subtle. And I'll compile a slideshow, texts, pics, the works. Careful, she warned. Keep it legal. Promise, I said, though my mind was already racing. We plotted for an hour, guest list, venue, our house, evidence. By the time I left, I felt alive, electric. I had a plan, and it was going to be flawless. Ever planned a surprise that went totally off the rails? Tell me about it in the comments. What's your wildest plot gone wrong story? The big day arrived, our 10th anniversary. I'd spent 2 weeks prepping, invites sent, house transformed with lilies and candles, a caterer whipping up mini quiches. Mark thought it was a quiet dinner with a few pals. Jessica RSVP'd, thinking I was clueless. Sucker. Guests trickled in. My parents, Mark's sister, our book club crew. I played hostess, all smiles, while my nerves buzzed like a live wire. Sarah shot me knowing glances, ready to jump in. Mark walked in at 6:30, jaw dropping at the crowd. This is insane, he said, hugging me. You're amazing. Happy anniversary, I chirped, bile rising at his touch. The party hummed, laughter, clinking glasses. I watched Mark and Jessica like a hawk. They kept it cool, but I caught their stolen looks. At 8 o'clock, it was go time. I stepped onto a makeshift stage, a cleared coffee table, and tapped my glass. Hey everyone, I called, voice bright. Can I have your attention? The room hushed, faces turning my way. Thanks for celebrating 10 years with us. Mark and I have had quite a ride, so I made a little slideshow to share it. Sarah hit play. The projector flicked on. Our wedding, beach trips, kids' birthdays. Os rippled through the crowd. Then the screen shifted. Mark's texts to Jessica, bold and damning. Gasps. Mark went white. What the hell? I kept going, calm as ice. And here's Mark and Jessica, cozy in his car last week. A PI photo, lips locked, flashed up. Silence, then murmurs. Mark stammered, I can explain. Shut it, I snapped. I'm done with your lies. I faced Jessica. Did you know he had a wife? Kids? She shrank. I thought he was separated. Bullshit, I said, voice rising. You knew. The room buzzed, shock, outrage. I held up a folder. Here's the proof. Months of cheating, right under my nose. Mark lunged forward. Let's talk privately. No, I shot back. This is public now. Sarah stepped up, glaring him down. Time to go, Mark. He scanned the room, disgust on every face, grabbed his jacket and bolted. Jessica scurried after him, head low. The door slammed, and I exhaled. It was done. Ever had to call someone out in front of a crowd? How'd it feel? Share your showdown moments in the comments. I'm all ears. The week after the party was chaos. Mark moved out, crashing with a buddy while we started divorce talks. The kids, Lila 8 and Ben 5, were heartbroken, asking why Daddy wasn't home. I softened the truth, leaning on hugs and ice cream. Friends rallied, texts, casseroles, wine nights. Some admitted they'd sensed Mark's shoddiness but stayed quiet. I wasn't mad, I got it. Then, out of nowhere, Jessica messaged me, "Can we talk? Please." I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. We met at Piedmont Park, me on a bench, her approaching like a scolded kid. "Emily," she started, voice small. I know you hate me. I'm so sorry. Mark told me you were separated, divorce papers signed. I smirked. And you bought that? I did, she said, eyes wet. He had fake docs, emails, texts. I was an idiot. Fake documents? I frowned. Yeah, said you were stalling for money. I only found out the truth after the party. Why tell me now? She swallowed. Mark's been playing others too. Same lies, different women. I confronted him. He confessed. He's a serial cheat, Emily. We can stop him. My jaw dropped. More women. 3 I've found. I think we should team up, expose him, maybe sue. I stared at the leaves skittering by. Walk away or fight. What's the play? Gather evidence, go legal. Maybe public too, warn others. I nodded slowly. Okay, I'm in. Weeks later, we tracked down Mark's other victims. Lisa, a nurse, Tara, a teacher, Jen, a bartender. Same story, charm, lies, betrayal. Turns out, he'd siphoned firm money to fund it all, felony territory. We built a case, handed it to a lawyer, and watched it snowball. Mark lost his job, faced jail, and faded from our lives. Jessica and I? We bonded over it weirdly. Pain turned to power, and I found sisters in the wreckage. Ever turned a betrayal into something positive? Tell me how you flipped the script in the comments. Let's lift each other up. Months rolled by, and the dust settled. Divorce done, kids with me, Mark behind bars for embezzlement. I turned the guest room into an art studio, white walls now splashed with my paintings, a sanctuary of acrylics and quiet. Lila and Ben thrived, therapy helped, and we baked cookies, watched Pixar marathons, grew tighter than ever. I started a blog, after the fall, spilling my story and tips for surviving betrayal. Readers poured in, sharing their scars, and it hit me, I could help. One afternoon, painting a sunrise, an email pinged. A publisher wanted my blog as a book. I hooped, scaring the cat. It was a lifeline, a chance to amplify my voice. Sitting there, brush in hand, I saw it clear. I'd trapped Mark, sure, but I'd freed myself. Revenge was sweet, but this, building anew, was sweeter. The canvas glowed, a riot of orange and gold, mirroring my soul. I was ready for whatever came next. What's your dream for a fresh start? Paint me a picture in the comments. What's your next chapter look like? The rain was relentless that night, drumming against the windows of my small art studio, a sanctuary I'd built in the wake of Mark's betrayal. I was mid-stroke, painting a stormy sea that mirrored my emotions, when a sharp knock jolted me from my trance. Wiping paint-stained hands on my apron, I opened the door to find a man standing there, soaked to the bone. He was tall, rugged, with graying stubble and eyes that held a quiet intensity. Emily. His voice was gravelly, like he'd smoked too many cigarettes or shouted too many truths. Name's Jack. I used to work with Mark. My stomach twisted. What do you want? He pulled a damp folder from under his jacket. I heard about the mess with Mark and Jessica. Thought you should know, he's done this before. A lot. I took the folder, hands trembling as I flipped it open. Inside were photos, letters, even a restraining order. All from women who claimed Mark had charmed them, used them, then left them broken. One letter detailed how he'd drained a woman's savings before vanishing. Another described a fake engagement. It was a gallery of heartbreak, and I was just the latest exhibit. Why tell me now? I asked, voice barely above a whisper. Jack's jaw tightened. Because I was too late to help them. Not this time. As he disappeared into the storm, I sank to the floor, the folder spilling its secrets around me. Mark wasn't just a cheater. He was a predator. And I'd been his prey. Sleep eluded me that night. Jack's revelations gnawed at me, and I knew I needed more than old letters to take Mark down. Then it hit me: college. I'd been a computer science minor, good enough to hack into the university's grading system as a prank. If I could dust off those skills, maybe I could unearth Mark's digital skeletons. I dragged my old laptop from the closet, its fans wheezing as it booted up. Hours later, after cracking passwords and dodging security prompts, I was in. Mark's email, his cloud storage, his life laid bare. What I found was a labyrinth of lies. He'd been juggling aliases: Tom in Dallas, Ryan in Chicago, seducing women with tailored personas. There were flirty messages, promises of forever, and then abrupt ghosting. But the real bombshell was a hidden bank account. Mark had siphoned $50,000 from our joint savings over 2 years, funneling it into an offshore account labeled New Start. He wasn't just cheating. He was planning to disappear, with Jessica or someone else, leaving me with nothing. Fury surged through me. I wasn't just a scorned wife anymore. I was a woman with a mission. Mark would pay, and I'd make sure of it. I couldn't keep this from Jessica. She deserved to know, or so I thought. We met at a dive bar, the kind with sticky tables and dim lights that hid secrets. I slid the printouts across to her: Mark's emails, the bank statements. Her face paled, but then her lips curled into a smirk. "You're good, Emily. Better than I expected." "What's that supposed to mean?" I snapped. She leaned closer, voice low. "I've known about Mark's games for months. Found out he was playing me too. So I played back, fed him lies, recorded him bragging about his conquests. I was going to blackmail him, take him for everything he's got." I stared, dumbfounded. "You were using me?" "Not you," she said quickly, sliding a USB drive toward me. "Him. This has everything. His confessions, his plans. Use it." I took the drive, but doubt gnawed at me. Jessica wasn't the ally I'd thought. She was a wild card, and I wasn't sure whose side she was really on. The next day, I walked through Riverside Park, needing air to clear my head. That's when I noticed her, a woman in a gray coat, watching me from a bench. She didn't look away when I met her gaze, just stood and approached. "I'm Lisa," she said, voice soft but firm. "Mark ruined me 3 years ago. Took my money, my trust, my everything. I saw you at that party, the one where you caught him with Jessica. I want to help." Her story was eerily familiar: charm, promises, betrayal. She'd been too ashamed to fight back then, but now she was ready. Together, we contacted other victims, 5 women, each with a piece of the puzzle. We became a quiet army, meeting in coffee shops and living rooms, pooling evidence like detectives in a noir film. Lisa brought something else to the table: a private investigator she'd hired after Mark left her. He'd tracked Mark's movements, linking him to a shady lawyer who'd helped set up the offshore account. It was the break I needed. Just as our case solidified, Mark made his move. A letter arrived, typed in cold legalese: "Cease your defamatory lies, or I'll sue you into oblivion." He'd flipped the script, painting me as the unhinged ex-wife to our friends, his family, even my boss. Whispers followed me at work: "She's obsessed, unstable." Some bought it, and I felt my world shrinking. Then came the social media blitz. Fake accounts posted doctored photos, me yelling, me crying, captioned with tales of my breakdown. Mark was fighting dirty, and he was good at it. I refused to fold. With Lisa and the others, I planned a counterstrike, a press conference. We invited local journalists, bloggers, anyone who'd listen. Standing before flashing cameras, I played Jessica's recordings. Mark's voice, smug and cruel, detailing how he'd played us all. The crowd gasped. The story went viral. Mark's mask was slipping, and he couldn't charm his way out of this one. Victory seemed close, until my lawyer called me in a panic. "Emily, we've got a problem. Some of your evidence doesn't check out." He showed me emails I'd pulled from Mark's account, ones I'd thought were damning. But metadata revealed they were fakes, planted to exaggerate his crimes. My heart sank. Had I been too eager, too blind? I confronted Jessica that night, slamming the printouts on her kitchen table. "Did you do this?" She didn't flinch. "Yeah, I did. He's a monster, Emily. I wanted to make sure he couldn't wiggle free." "You could have ruined everything." I shouted. "We're fighting with the truth, not lies." Jessica shrugged. "Sometimes the truth needs a little help." I wrestled with it all night. In the end, I went public, admitting the fakes during a follow-up interview. To my shock, people admired the honesty. The focus shifted back to Mark's real crimes, and Jessica's gambit faded into the background. The truth, it seemed, had a resilience of its own. The courtroom was packed, a sea of faces watching as Mark stood trial. Embezzlement, fraud, perjury, the charges piled up like bricks in a wall he couldn't climb. I took the stand, voice steady as I recounted every betrayal, every lie. Lisa followed, then the others, a chorus of courage that drowned out Mark's weak denials. The recordings sealed it. Mark's own words, boasting about his schemes, echoed through the room. The jury deliberated for just 2 hours, guilty on all counts. He got 10 years, plus restitution he'd never afford. As they led him away, he glanced back, eyes hollow. I felt no pity, only relief. Afterward, I stood outside, the autumn air crisp against my skin. The women gathered around me. Lisa, the others, even Jessica, who'd shown up despite our rift. We'd won, not just against Mark, but for ourselves. The trial changed me. I turned my studio into a hub for healing, founding Brushstrokes of Strength, a non-profit for women recovering from emotional and financial abuse. My paintings, once stormy, brightened, reflecting the light I'd found within. The sisterhood grew, our stories inspiring others to speak, to fight. Jessica reached out months later, apologetic but unrepentant. "I'd do it again," she said. "For us." I forgave her, in my way. She'd been a flawed ally, but an ally nonetheless. As for Mark, prison letters arrived, pleas, excuses. I burned them unread. He was my past, this was my future. From Betrayal's ashes, Emily built a legacy of strength, a story that didn't just end Mark, but ignited a movement. This is what Whisper's story is all about, tales that grip your heart, twist your mind, and leave you cheering. Want more? There's a whole world of drama waiting. Hit that subscribe button and join us. Whisper's story, where every tale has a twist, and every ending's just the start.